Hey, yo, what is going on, you guys? Got a brand new deck guide for you guys today. Today, we're going to be going over a Daken Hand list made by Cougarr himself. This list was absolutely so much fun and really solid. We actually ended up playing 50 games with it, as you guys can see on screen here, and we were climbing with it. Almost a 0.5 cube rate and a 58% win rate. This deck has a lot of different lines that doesn't make it completely one-dimensional, allowing you to have a bunch of different outs, whether it's the Victoria Hand line or the Daken line. It feels really, really solid, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. Right, so this is the deck we have on screen for you here. So the options are kind of all over the place. You have different cards you can end up prodiging to be able to get extra value for them, as well as bastioning to get other copies of these cards, Quinjet to be able to discount the copies because you're creating copies, which is why you're pointing into the Victoria Hand line. You have Moon Girl to be able to duplicate some of those copies as well, but also Moon Girl in this list can also be used to give you multiple shards. You can set up your hand in such a way that you're duplicating your shards in the final turn in order to get bigger Dakens across the board, which you guys will actually see some of that in this video as well. You, of course, have Bullseye as one of your main discard cards, or you're pretty much your only discard card in this to be able to get that for Daken value. You also have Killmonger to be able to destroy the shards if you do not get the Bullseye line. So there's some instances where I am actually setting up shards on the board in order to get them Killmongered for the Daken value because I don't have that Bullseye line. I might do that actually before turn 6. It really just depends on what my hand is looking like and what the board state is looking like as well. And then, of course, you have copies of cards, whether it is with Frigga, whether it's with Bastion, whether it's with Moon Girl, whether it is with Grandmaster. Grandmaster, honestly, onto a Frigga or onto a Moon Girl is something I've been messing around with a lot with this list to be able to give you a bunch of different outs, whether that is getting more duplicates of cards or just in general getting another Daken proc. There's a bunch of different ways to play around this here. Of course, your Killmonger does nuke your Nico and your Quinjet, but if you're Killmongering at the end of the game, you've already used the Quinjet to a max of its potential. So you have those options there. Nico has been really solid in this list too, being able to add duplicates of cards to my hand, adding power to cards before I then Frigga them or Moon Girl them. There's a bunch of just different options that I like with Nico in here as kind of that Swiss Army knife in this list, which is really solid. And then Surge. Surge is also really good in this list to be able to give you some of that energy cheating. To be able to get some of those cards copied is also really solid, and just be able to get combo pieces out earlier or later in the game, depending on what Surge hits. Feels really nice. So there's a bunch of really solid layers that I really enjoyed this list. Cougarr absolutely cooked with this. But we're going to go ahead and break down why we have each card in this list individually, as well as Cougarr's info. It will be down in the description below, as well as the deck code. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so starting off first and foremost, we do have the good old Nico Minoru. Like I was saying, this card gives you a bunch of great utility. Especially with the adding power to cards, duplicating cards, adding copies to your hand, and then you have the potential to destroy draw 2. You, of course, can turn a card into a demon, potentially after it's already used its purpose, because maybe otherwise it wouldn't have really got you a lot of power on the board, so you can turn a card into a demon. You, of course, can double Nico's power. You can also change locations, move cards to the right. It's just a Swiss Army knife that works really well in this list to give you a bunch of options to be able to set up for plays later in the game. Next, of course, we have Quinjet. We're adding a bunch of copies to cards to our hand, so you're having a lot of Quinjet value, whether it's a copy with Frigga, whether that is a copy with Bastion, whether it's a copy with Moon Girl, a copy with Nico. There are a variety of different ways to get value from Quinjet, which is really nice, or even getting a duplicate copy of Quinjet because we are playing Victoria Hand. That card can get extra value as well. Next, of course, we do have Surge in this list. Surge is a good tempo card. A lot of my instances, whether choosing between Victoria Hand and Surge, depends on what I have in my hand and what I may still have left in my deck. So that really kind of decides what I'm playing on too. Honestly, if I don't have the Victoria Hand Frigga line or a Victoria Hand kind of Daken line kind of thing, I kind of maybe lean more into Surge in that sense, but it really just depends on what you have in your hand on turn 2 if you're going to be doing a Surge or a Victoria Hand. If I have copies of a copy enabler, I would do Victoria Hand. If I don't have copies, I normally would go into a Surge lane. So that's kind of the thought process there. This gives you just a bunch of different outs to allow you to do some crazy stuff towards the end of the game, and it's also not a bad Prodigy target either. Next, we're going to have Grandmaster. Grandmaster is really solid in this list to get us additional duplicators or additional Daken shards. So you have that as one of those options in order to just get some extra value from cards that have already been used. They're on reveal in the game. Of course, that's leaving up space in the middle to be able to Grandmaster them. But this card has felt really solid to have like a bunch of different outs, which is really solid. In this list, I just said really solid like 5 times. But it feels good. Like just to have this to be able to move cards around so you're not locked into a specific location, and to give you additional procs for some of these other cards is really nice. And then, of course, you have Victoria Hand. You're creating a bunch of cards. So you have Victoria Hand, you know, she gives +2 power to created cards. And it's ongoing, and, you know, she can also give that power to herself. So, you know, Victoria Hand, create a card to Victoria Hand deck. Kind of makes a lot of sense there. Of course, then we also have Bullseye in this list. Bullseye is mainly for Daken and only for Daken. There's some also really cool instances that you'll see in this where we actually just duplicate cards with Quinjet down to make them 1-cost cards, because it looks at concurrent cost, not base cost, when it goes to target its discards. So there's some instances where you maybe don't hit your Daken line, but you have Bullseye on the board. If you have 1-cost cards in your hand, you can use Bullseye still to discard those cards, and you're using him more as an affliction tool than opposed to a Daken power booster, which also can win you some games because people aren't really expecting that. Next, of course, we have Killmonger. Killmonger, a lot of people are playing 1-drop still, like right now. There's still a decent amount of end to turn. You know, there's still just a lot of people playing Hood and Demon and Misery and stuff. So you have Killmonger to offset that. Some of these ongoing decks, too, using 1-cost cards and everything. So you have Killmonger to be able to offset that. Also, it can, you know, nuke your shards for you to give you your Daken value. So like there's a bunch of different ways I think you could play this opposed to just being completely one-dimensional. It's a good tech card, and it's also just a really good Daken enabler because, you know, Daken's one of your big power pieces in this list. You're snapping into a lot of Daken Bullseye or like a Daken Frigga situation. Daken, even Bastion, is really good, but you want to set up this card in such a way where you have the potential to either Grandmaster this or Grandmaster a Daken or a Frigga kind of thing in order to get the maximum value for your Daken shards. You can also set this up so you can play a Daken on final turn if you've, you know, Frigga'd it, or if you just at least have a Bullseye on a board and you have a different way. Of course, you have Grandmaster to, you know, get Daken to go off again. Or usually there's a couple instances where I get to get a lot of Dakens, and then you have just a bunch of shards to mess around with, giving you just extra value, or you set up your Dakens across the board, and then you have shards on the board to Killmonger. So you just have this power everywhere. It's kind of like the thought process with Daken, but this is one of your main combo cards in this, and like is literally one of your main win cons. So if you have like a really good Daken line, definitely snap into some of those Daken lines to make sure, you know, you get to maximize the amount of cubes you can get. Next, you have Frigga. Frigga copying pretty much a large variety of a lot of these cards in this list. It gives you Victoria Hand value. Of course, getting another Daken allows you to get another shard, which gives you some more Bullseye value. You, of course, can Grandmaster your Frigga as well. Play order, of course, for the Grandmaster Frigga is if you Frigga, you then need to play another card and then Grandmaster your Frigga, because then Frigga will copy the last card you played. It does not copy the Grandmaster, because Grandmaster's animation does not finish until Frigga's on reveal has gone off. So she still looks at the last card you played. Same thing if you were to like Prodigy a Frigga as well. It looks at the last card you played as you Prodigy Frigga, because then the animation finishes in order to be able to get that value. So just kind of keep that in mind when you are going to the Frigga stuff. It looks at the last card you played. In general, and if you do like Frigga on like a Sinister London, Frigga will copy a Frigga opposed to the last card you played, because that first Frigga has completely resolved. Next, of course, we have Prodigy. Prodigy in this list for potential copying cards back into your hand, also giving you some potential Daken value, giving you another Daken shard. You can use this also for maybe even Quinjet things, doing Moon Girl again. Like this just gives you a variety of different options in different lines, which is really nice to enable you to get power across the board or power into a single lane. You have Prodigy for that. If you don't have Prodigy, you maybe want to lean into a different 3-cost. Prodigy works really well in this, but there's a world maybe you just do Surfer. Maybe you just add Surfer in here to have more power across the board, because of course you have, you know, Bullseye, Killmonger, Frigga, and Daken as 4 different 3-cost cards. Of course, you're not hitting everything, but it does give you some options there to be able to mess around with, which are pretty nice. But I do like Prodigy specifically in that slot. Of course, we have Bastion, adding copies of cards to your hand that cost 2, and then they're 3 power. But if you have Quinjet, they're a 1-cost 3 power card, which is really nice, whether that's a Victoria Hand, whether that's another Daken. Like, you just have a large variety of options that gives you just a lot of enablers later in the game. which I really, really like with this card. Also, you can Grandmaster this to get even more, copies of those cards. Just setting up cards in the middle to be able to Grandmaster your Bastion into that middle location. This is one of those cards where like there's not a direct one-for-one replacer. But you could maybe pour into, like I said, maybe do another 3 cost instead. You already have Moon Girl in here, so you have Moon Girl to be able to kind of give you those options. Maybe there's a world where it's Sarah, just so you can have, a larger variety of different ways to, discount cards and play more cards out. Or maybe you want another card generator. Maybe this is where you run a Mirage, or you run like an Iron Patriot, something like that to kind of pour more into your, Victoria Hand line. But Daken and Bastion also go really, really well together. And then, of course, we have Moon Girl. Duplicating your entire hand is really nice. Of course, the sweet point of being able to do Moon Girl more often than not is when you have 3 cards in your hand, because then you can still draw a card on the next turn. But if it's like a final turn situation, it doesn't really matter if you have the space for, a draw in your hand. You just kind of want to position your shards to be in such a way where they can duplicate at least 1 shard. More often than not, you want to duplicate at least 2 shards if you're up to that line. That way you have 4 shards to discard on the final turn, which gives you a crazy huge Daken. But that's kind of just like a super like situational line and everything too. But I had a lot of really cool instances with this card, which I love Moon Girl. I've been playing a lot of Moon Girl. You guys know, from Monkey Bounce to now with Victoria Hand stuff. I played Victoria Hand with Moon Girl, and now Daken Victoria Hand with Moon Girl. Like, this is like straight up my alley. Cougarr freaking did phenomenal. Which, like I said, if you guys are not following Cougarr, all of his info will be down in the description below. Please drop that man a follow on his Twitch and his Twitter/X, the Golden Gauntlet winner himself. But yeah, we're gonna jump right into some gameplay. And like I said, I played 50 games with this deck because it was just that much fun, and we were climbing with it. We were up 100 SP and up 100 ranks, so it was freaking phenomenal. But yeah, I will now see you guys at the end of the video. All right, so we do get Nico into Vic. I like here. We also have Moon Girl and stuff. If I get a Frigga, this is probably a snap. I'm gonna actually do this. I know this is weird. But it's to protect against, like, Red Guardian and stuff is my thought process there. Holy mother. And then I'm going to Moon Girl again with Grandmaster. Sorry. We get the Victoria Hand into Quinjet and Moon Girl. They Fanta, Ravona, Carter. Okay, so this is going to be... Ooh. Okay. I go... Wait. Surely it's just this, right? It would be... So, I don't have a discard card in here was the issue. I don't have Killmonger and I don't have Bullseye. And it's going to be a 1 out of 5 for either of those. So, actually, I think we are going to do that into this. A Moonstone. I get another Moon Girl into a Vic here. Lots of huge stuff. And we get the Prodigy. Yo. Okay, and then we are going to do this into Prodigy. Go Vic into Prodigy again for another Vic. We just have Victoria Hands everywhere. They Cosmo and Goliath. Okay. And then I do Vic, Daken. They go like Mystique here or Mystique there. This is going to be a lot of power. There's a world where I kind of overcommitted left. Maybe I was supposed to... Maybe I was also actually supposed to set up just Prodigy into more Vix and everything. But I think this is pretty decent. It's Mystique, Big Mystique, and then is it Astral here? Captain America. Cool, that'll work. That is a lot of power for us. Get these stats up. Oh, we're facing Cougarr. Did I need help? I got you, I got you. That will work. Oh, we're facing Cougarr with... I think we're facing him with the same list. Yeah, we are. So we're going to have to kind of... We might have to tempo Killmonger or something here. To offset all the Vic stuff he's going to be able to do. Because we're in a very bad start. Very, very bad start. We have the same split, I think, on Surge, though. Yeah, this is bad. They get... Good gravy. I am tempo Killmonger in that. Let's go band for band here, right? This is so bad for us. Like, so bad. Moon Girl. Quinjet, yikes. Into Prodigy on Surge. Which means I got another Quinjet. I could go 50-50. It would be 50-50 for either Prodigy hitting the Quinjet. If they have another Daken, we're cooked. It would be like trying to hit Killmonger, letting Daken stay. The like really interesting thing is here, if I were to go Quinjet middle, or if I went Grandmaster, Quinjet, Bastion, and then I activate Bullseye, my Surgeon stuff on the right would give me more fodder for Bullseye. But I think we're in a really bad spot. Like, I think they don't contest the Daken lane, and they just go here. This is a weird play, but I think we're gonna do this play. I don't think we can win this game. Like, I don't think we can. But this gives us a very interesting line. They Quinjet Frigga into Nico Prodigy on Frigga. Okay. Kind of similar to what we were doing. Bullseye hits all the stuff I don't want it to hit. I go Quinjet into Bastion, and I need all these hits to go right. All these hits need to go right in order for me to have a chance to win this game. Unless they don't. Yo. It worked. So what we did there is we bastioned onto the Surge and the Quinjet to make them also 1-cost cards, so Bullseye would hit them, and then we had an extra shard from Daken in order to get the value as well. We had 2 hits go left. We had... Did we have any hits go middle? We had 1 hit go middle, and then we had 2 hits go right. That was cool. Okay, we get Quinjet into Surge. They play the Vibranium out. Hellfire Club. Surge into Surge. Weird World? No. No, that sucks. Unless it doesn't. I do have Killmonger. This doesn't work for me, does it? You think it's GM Daken? Yeah, okay. Okoye. Is that my Victoria Hand? It is Victoria Hand. Yeah. And then this is going to be Bastion. Okay. And then it'll be Bastion, Grandmaster, Daken. Or throw that here. Or how do I get all these shards out? We have to set this up here, because we're going to be playing shard. And then we go to 32 power. We just can't play the shards into Hellfire Club. I mean, I guess we could. I mean, we can't play. We have to go. Daken, Grandmaster, Shaw. So I can play Shard, Killmonger. And I'll have 3 shards. This will go up 6, 12, 24. And then this is going to go to 32 right. So I go Shaw middle into the Daken and stuff. This is Carter Forge. I go Daken into Grandmaster into Shaw. And then it is Shard, Killmonger. And I lose to... I lose to a Cosmo middle. Cosmo middle. If they Surfer here, Surfer hit by Galacta is going to be with the Forge, right? Forge at Surfer goes to 4, plus Galacta is another 2, goes to 6. They're adding another 4, goes to 10. 10 plus another 4 is 14. 14 middle is 24. I'm adding another 6, 12, 24. I think we should be good. I lose to Cosmo. Copycat. Mobius. Sweet. That will work. That will work. Turn 1 snap into Vic on the cloning mats. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. They Sif out Scar. Okay, so we're facing Hela. I get Vic off of cloning mats, and I get another Vic. That'll work for me. Go Daken. They redshift onto Agatha. New card coming down. I get the Shard down. They Corvus into Odin and Giganto. Okay. Shard is down. Is a bit unfortunate. But I get Bastion. They redshift into Death, which means they get another Death, right? Gambit hits Death and hits Nico. They get another Gambit. I get Bastion here. I go... Bullseye. Quinjet. Or what I could do, if I just go Bullseye Daken. Actually, it's Bullseye Daken. Blink out the Gambit. into Hella, Death, Scar, Giganto. I do this into Daken. I go Daken, Grandmaster. Vic. So this is going to be 1 shard, 2 shard. It could just be, it could be just Daken. Grandmaster gives me another shard. It gives me 3 shards. 3, 6, 12. Am I contesting for middle? Am I contesting for right? I think it's this. It's that into this. Actually, hold on. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Ghost Rider hits Odin, which hits Redshift, which hits Gambit, and then it's really just going to be a matter of what gets hit here for me. Gambit hits that. That's fine. So I go Daken into another shard, into a Killmonger, into the Bullseye, which then goes off twice and gives us a nice casserole. Yo! Oh, that is cool. That is pretty freaking cool, okay? Sweet. Sweet. So we get the high roll. That was awesome. Oh, move. Okay, some interesting stuff we got going on. Let's see. What all can we get going, though? What can we get going? The vault? Ooh. I'll do a Nico copy, because why not? Nico copy could be cool. You're melting again? Yo, what is it like over there for you, Dryden? Murder World. Does Murder World? I don't think Murder World goes off before Iron Patient, right? Fisk Tower. We do get the Daken. So we'll go. This is actually a crazy line here. I'm going to go Daken right into Daken left. They Hood and Quinjet. Double Daken seems pretty good. If I go Quinjet. Ooh, this could be interesting. I go Quinjet, Bullseye. No. Quinjet, Bullseye left. Or if I go Moon Girl. No, it's Quinjet. It's Bullseye, Quinjet. Snap. A Misery, the Hood. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have options here. I can go Bastion Daken, give me another Daken. And then I'll go Daken, Grandmaster, Daken. Actually, no, I think it is this. It's Bastion on the Daken. And then I'll go Daken, Daken. Like a lot of... Just Dakens go crazy here. Get another Daken. A 2-3 Daken. I lose to Kill... I think Killmonger kind of cooks me. But I have so many Dakens everywhere that this feels pretty good. Another Daken. 1-3. Nico. Red Skull. Into Icebox. It hits Grandmaster! And Copycat. Copycat gives him another Red Skull. Okay. So I will go Daken, Grandmaster, Daken. So I'll have a Daken here, a Daken. So I have one shard, 2 shards, 3 shards. I'll have 4 shards in hand total. That seems pretty good. And then, yeah, we activate Bullseye and we go crazy. So this Daken goes up 4 times. This one goes off 4 times. This seems pretty good. Yeah, I almost forgot to activate the Daken, but I think I like this. They do have another Red Skull, and the Red Skull is a 2-cost Red Skull. And they have 2 demons. Red Skulls, 2 Red Skull, or another Red Skull and 2 demons. And they also have Quinjet. So the Red Skull... No, the Red Skull is a 1-cost Red Skull, because after Iron Pitch it. So they can do Red Skull, 2 demons, and Shadow King. They could do Red Skull, 2 demons, and Shadow King. Hypothetically speaking here. And hopefully they're not screen peeking. If they're screen peeking, we don't get the play down. So I go Daken into Grandmaster. Gives me another shard. Into another shard. We activate the Bullseye. We have Dakens on every lane. Big Dakens. Red Skull comes down. Into Demon. Demon. Shadow King. We knew the Shadow King was coming too. Nice. It's necessarily the greatest thing ever yet. This is a good start. Bullseye, Daken. It just really depends on these other locations here. Titan is good. I'll go Surge, Daken, probably. Agent Venom. Project Pegasus. Wow. Is it... these locations just suck. Ant-Man, Mockingbird, Merlin. Oh, this is a very interesting deck. Fanta. Okay, so that location's cooked. Hood into Poly. Can that be Carnage? Colleen hits Demon. That's not bad. I don't hate that for us. Ooh, the games are doing pretty good, newest. The games are going pretty well. If I do this, that. I could do like Surge, Moon Girl, right? And I'll get 4 shards. I think it's this. I think it's that. I lose to a Cosmo. Hunger. Is that Cosmo right or no? If it's Cosmo right, we're dead. Not Cosmo right. Okay. And then it is this into this. I get 3 shards. I lose to Red Guardian right. Red Guardian right also wins. Red Guardian right cooks me. So I probably didn't think that through. Sage, Mystique, Poly. To Fanta. Surge. Into Moon Girl. So I get 4 shards in hand. Bullseye goes off. Cool. That'll work. With Necrosha and with Quinjet. I like what we're starting with. This is nice. Also, full Vivid Evil. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the kingdom. Crazy name. Crazy name, but I appreciate you. What are we playing? A Lockjaw. Are they playing C3? We have Quinjet, and then we're about to Bastion on top of Strange Academy, which is really good for us. They Psylocke out into Jubilee into Infinite. That's a good play for them. That's fair. I do fill my hand here. Infinite is going to move somewhere. There's a world where I go Daken Shard instead. If they Legion me, This is a bit rough. If they Legion me, we're in a bit of a pickle, right? Or no? Okay, no. They Eliath left every time. Or they Eliath middle. I think I play... I lose to Cosmo. They Jeff. They Jeff Eliath. Oh, Doom. Okay. That is fine. I will take a Doom. I will take a Doom. I thought Eliath was coming down, and I was more scared about the Eliath. But that'll work. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and for all the continued support as of recently. I've been pumping out videos because I'm having so much fun. Like, there's so many different decks to play. Like, Snap is just feeling really, really solid. But I want to say thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys did stick around to the very end, let me know down below. What are your guys' thoughts on Victoria Hand? Do you think Victoria Hand's in a good spot? Do you guys think Daken's in a good spot? Do you think any of these cards need to be adjusted? Or are we just in a solid meta right now? Or maybe Victoria Hand does need to go to 2-2. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on that whole entire situation. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Definitely feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. It's been real. God bless, and Tucker out.